Luke 15, we find Jesus being flocked by publicans and sinners. But then we saw the Pharisees looking from afar, and they were like, oh my days, look at this man mingling with sinners. Why is he doing this? Let's break that down. The Pharisees, aka the church, they did not like bad people. Smokers, drinkers, rapists, murderers, you name it. Sin is sin. But anybody that was wearing the clothes of sin, that looked bad, they did not like them around. And this man was claiming to be the Son of God, and they did not believe that the Son of God should be around sinners. But that nullifies the point and the reason why Jesus came. He came to save that which was lost. In this story, we find that there are three people that the Pharisees did not like: shepherds, women, and people who had lost their faith. And I'm breaking it down. Jesus represented the shepherd, Jesus represented the woman, and Jesus represented the father that had love for the lost son. Now the Pharisees were listening to this sermon, and they were like, why is Jesus talking about these people in a good light? Let me tell you why. Because God is love. Jesus is trying to let the Pharisees know, the people who you have placed under your foot, I am using them to show you that Jesus saves. I'm breaking it down that God did not come to save those people who look holy, and there are people walking around today in 2015 who we the church are putting down based on how they look, based on how they dress, based on what they eat. And I'm letting you know, you are not God. Jesus is trying to let everyone know today that he will use whoever he wants to use. Jesus is purposely using people who are not popular to the church. And I'm breaking it down. He is using shepherds, he is using women, and he is using fathers who love lost sons. Let me tell you why. He is going against, he is challenging the messed up theology of the church, because the church's theology is to come like this: you people that don't look like us are not accepted here. But Jesus is preaching and using bad people as good examples. So Jesus goes straight to the lost son, and I'm breaking it down. Bible says there was a man that had two sons, one younger, one older. The younger one came and says, Father, give me my inheritance. And I'm breaking it down. In those days, for a son to ask his father for his inheritance, in other words, he was asking or wishing for his father to die, because you would only receive your inheritance at your father's death. And I'm breaking it down. The father should have boxed him down. The father should have rebuked him, but the father was not like that. The father showed love, and the father gave him his money. The father showed him so much love. And I'm breaking it down. The father was not going to be like the Pharisees. The father was not going to be like a bad father. Despite what his son wanted to do, the father was supporting his decision, even though it was messed up. There's someone right now who has left Jesus, and you're doing your thing on the road, you're doing your thing in the world, and I'm breaking it down. Please don't miss this. Just like the prodigal son, the Bible says he has wasted all his money, and at the time he had wasted all his money, that's when a storm came in his life. And I'm breaking it down. The Lord sends storms in our life, but he makes sure that they come at the right time. If the storm came into the young man's life when he was rich, then he would have paid his way through the storm. But the Lord made sure that when the storm came, he was broke, flat on his face. Sometimes the Lord needs to send a storm in our lives, not when we are able to dodge the storm with our money, but he needs to send the storm knowing that all we can do is run to Jesus. I'm trying to break it down. That the devil, when he sees that you're ready and willing to come to Jesus, what he does, and I'm breaking it down, inspiration tells me that when the devil sees that he is in danger of losing one soul, he will call every demon in hell to block you from going to Jesus. Let me talk from experience. I remember when I was about to come to Jesus for the right time, for the best time in my life, and I remember a female came into my life and blocked me from Jesus, and the Bible tells me that the prodigal son, instead of of going back home, he went further from Jesus, and he joined himself to a citizen in a far country. Even though the Lord is trying to bring you back, the devil is still trying to drag you back with him. So this young man started to eat the husks. The Bible specifically tells us, and the definition for the husks were carob berries. Now it's funny to me that these berries were not able to sustain the young man's life, and this gives me joy. I get excited. Even though the young man is with the devil having a whale of a time, the Lord knows that what he is eating is not able to make him last for a long time. Sooner or later, he has to come home, and this is why God is love. You could be far from God, you could be in the devil's pig pen, but sooner or later your lifestyle is going to end, and the food you're eating is not going to be able to keep you, and you're going to run back home. Now this point breaks my heart. The young man is in the pig pen, and I broke it down. The berries that he was eating was not able to sustain his life, and the Lord knew that despite where you are, despite where he was, sooner or later he was going to come back home. But I'm breaking it down. There's many of us who are lost sons, we are lost coins, we are lost sheep, and we've left the church. And the reason why many of our young people don't want to come back to Jesus, the reason why many of us don't want to come back to church is for this simple reason. When we left the church, nobody called our phone. When we left the church, people started talking about us. When we left the church, people started to beat us down. So now when I'm in my mess and I want to get loved, I want to hear some nice songs again, I would love to hear a sermon, but I'm not going back to church because they didn't treat me well. I'm breaking it down. The young son, when he was at his lowest, the first place he thought about was home, because even though he left his father's house, he knew that when he did wrong to his father, even though he asked for the money and now he had left, the father gave him his money with love. The father, even though he knew what the son was doing was wrong, the father made sure that I'm not going to be the cause for you not to come back home. I'm breaking it down. You don't have to look at the church. The church might beat you down. The church might talk about you. I might speak about you. Your mom and dad might forsake you. Your friends might leave you, but God will never leave you or forsake you. It's not about church. It's about Jesus. Come back home in the name of the Lord. So he comes to find us, he touches us and makes us it. Then he sends us out into the world, the highways and the byways. And now our job as a church is to seek and to save that which was lost, just like Jesus.